Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch, yes, another loud, obnoxious, bumpy ride on the little one-lane gravel road where Travis is not wearing a seatbelt and being a horrible example. I'm doing like 12 miles an hour on a one-lane back gravel road. It's really okay, people. It really is. I mean, it's my choice. I don't know how I'm being a bad example. Everyone knows you should probably wear them when you're driving out on the road. So it's okay. Don't have to worry about me. So I wanted to take a different turn today. We've been talking so much about the drone thing and aliens, not really, but you know what I'm saying. We've been kind of on the same subject for a while because I still think it's very important. I think that the PSYOP and stuff is very critical. It's interesting. I noticed today, I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of a conspiracy theorist. You get on social media, because I thought I would just kind of see, like get on Twitter or X or whatever and just see. There's hardly anything on there about the drones. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's not like it was the last few days. It's wall to wall. And then the Biden administration comes out, with their thing yesterday. There's nothing's going on. Just ignore it. Look the other way. Go back to sleep. There's not any drones flying around. And then all of a sudden it's quiet. Maybe it's also partly what I said, what was it, this morning or yesterday, that my opinion is that the American public has at most about a 2-week attention span when it comes to, crazy stuff going on. They grow tired of it. There's a little bit of a lull. They may revert their attention to non-important things before the next big thing comes around. So anyways, I thought I would talk about something that probably is way more important than that. And that's medical stuff. I know it's so boring to talk about medical. It's so boring to talk about something that's actually could keep you alive. And I want to talk about shortages. Before that, I want to mention, for those of you that aren't on my locals, which there's a link in the description, you don't have to pay for the membership. You can just get on there for free, sign up, create an account, and it's free. You just don't have access to everything. The videos, the special videos that I post over there, you do have to pay to see that. But the rest of the stuff I post and what everyone else posts, you don't have to. But for the last few months, here and there, I have been working on what I have called a Prepper Medical Responder Series. And it's way more than just, basic first aid. It's way more than putting a Band-Aid or a tourniquet on something. I get into, neck and spinal injuries and heart injury, attacks and abdominal lacerations and how to deal with various illnesses, stroke and shock and things like that. I've tried my best to bring it down on a very simple layman's terms. It's not something that's going to make you a certified anything, but for only $30 a year, you get to see all that. And I give you little tips and tricks of the trade, show you some different medical equipment, try to show you what works, what doesn't, how much stuff is, what you can get discounts on. Some of you might find it interesting. So you can go over there if you're interested. I just posted a video today over there on that series. And eventually that series is going to get into, well, what do you do knowing all this stuff and having the medical equipment when there's no medical healthcare system to go to? We'll get into that also. But anyways, I want to talk about shortages. Just the other day, I was working on doing some reordering of medical supplies, and I went to the typical places that I order, not necessarily for myself, but for our department. And lo and behold, nothing was in stock. I spent, I don't know, probably an hour going to various different medical supply websites, and not a single one of them had it in stock. And It was common with other things. I was looking at simple saline solution for doing just hydration therapy. Looking at other types of supplies that you would use in EMS and that you might be purchasing also. And I either could not find them available, and when I did, the price was so astronomical. So I started doing a little digging, and this is something I missed. Some of you may know it. I mean, there are definitely other shortages in the medical supply, but Baxter, which is one of the nation's #1 producer of various IV type therapies and medicines and IV supplies, their main facility was in North Carolina, and it got destroyed with the floods of Hurricane Helene. And they produce about 60% of the nation's supplies. Since that happened, there's reports and news articles on how many people have had surgeries postponed. They can't do surgeries. They can't because they don't have the supplies to do surgeries. There's no IV medicines. There's no, simple saline. There's tubing, all that kind of stuff. That's a pretty serious thing. If there was some type of major event, whether regionally or nationally, where there were a lot of, casualties, where you needed to have this type of supplies, that could make things very difficult. If you look on the FDA's website, they track things that are in short supply, and it's showing several other items. A lot of stuff dealing with cardiovascular emergencies are in great shortage. Then you take all of that and you add to an increasing war, even though right now maybe our troops aren't directly involved in a war. That could happen soon, but a lot of the stuff that is being used in different war theaters sometimes comes from us, where the United States are supplying our allies and stuff, whether it be Israel or Ukraine or just our general troops. So that's a problem. Trade wars, tariffs, China. A lot of our medical supplies come from China. And even if they're made here in the United States, a lot of the raw materials that's used to make those medical supplies that are made here in the United States come from China. When you add all that up, you're looking at numbers somewhere between 95 and 98% of all medicines and medical supplies somehow originate in China, whether it's the raw materials or the actual manufacturing. And if we go into some type of trade war with them, which is exactly what's being said, that's going to be a problem. So I want to bring to your attention that, number one, learning good quality medical is important. I mean, I've said this in other videos. If everyone could go out and take an EMT course, that would be great. Most of you probably aren't going to do that. But learning good quality medicine is good, but you also have to have the supplies. And don't be afraid to stock up on things that maybe are well above your knowledge of how to use. Because you never know. There may be someone around you in an SHTF scenario that know how to use those things. I stock up on surgical supplies. I don't know how to do surgeries. I am not qualified to do a surgery on someone. But I stock up on supplies. Anything that I can legally purchase, I will stock up on, because you never know. There might come a time that it's needed, and there just happens to be someone around that can do a surgery. I firmly believe that as preppers, we should stock up on medical supplies way more than just having a good first aid kit. Yes, it's important to have a first aid kit. It's important to have good IFAKs. You should have probably multiple ones. You should have a good first aid kit in your vehicle, and then a more robust one in your home. And I talk about that a lot on those videos, those prepper medical responder videos. But what's even more important than that is to have a good supply, because your typical first aid kit is good for 1 or 2 uses. And what if the supply chain is collapsed and you can't resupply it? So you need to be your own resupply. It's kind of like food. You don't have 2 or 3 meals of food stored up, you have months or years of food. And so that you have your own pantry that you will go to and basically do your shopping out of, which you should be doing anyways, and to rotate that food out. You should do the same thing with your medicine. You should have cases of stuff. If you're part of some kind of little prepper homestead group, buy them together as a group, buy bulk. Medical supplies in bulk really aren't that expensive. Buying a case of 4x4 bandages, it's not that expensive. Buying a case of abdominal bandages, not that expensive. Buying a case of, medical tape or, items like that, it's not terribly expensive. And so you should be actively doing that. Do not forget the medical supplies. Right now, things are in short supply. If something happens in the next 4, 6, 8 weeks or whatever, it could get pretty serious because the supply shortage is not going to catch up between now and then. So we have a current shortage right now of very critical medical supplies. And if something happens that a lot of you think could happen, how bad would that be? There's no a lot of items that would be used in an emergency are not available because they're in such major short supply. I would be taking this very serious and spending some time figuring out what you want to stock up on. I do produce lists and places that you can buy them over on the locals. So for those of you that are members there, I'll post those things this afternoon, this evening, something like that. And I would start looking at things that you can buy. And I'm telling you, I would buy beyond just a first aid kit, not just in amounts, but in what you can get. There's so many other things. Cuts and bruises, even all the way up into bullet holes and stab wounds, are just a small sliver of the types of medical problems that you may have to face. And if you have to face them when the healthcare system is not functioning at its finest or not functioning at all, then that adds a whole new layer of emergency to you. And so you need to be prepared as much as possible. It's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.